Well, Black Lives Matter protests will go ahead in Sydney today despite a failed appeal to reverse the court order blocking the demonstrations.
So co-organiser of the protest, Paddy Gibson, joins us now. Paddy, good morning to you.
Good morning.
OK, so the protest is now illegal and you are pressing ahead. Have you not heard the people grieving for loved ones, even on our show this morning? I'm pleading with you not to press ahead.
Yes, well, we just dispute the idea that there's any particular risk to from our protests than there is to the thousands of other social gatherings and mingling and other things that are going on across the state of New South Wales. We just dispute that it's a particular risk. You know, we've actually put forward an alternative plan to police where we said that we would all go to the Domain, we would space right out in a massive open area, and we wouldn't actually breach the social distancing regulations that you can't gather together, clump together in a group of more than 20 people. And their response to that is to say that even if we are only 21 people in the Domain, spaced out across the entire park, that will be construed as being a gathering that's in breach of the regulations and we can face fines and arrests. I've said all along, and I continue to maintain, that this is politically motivated. The Premier has already said this morning that there's more risk indoors of you contracting this disease than outdoors. So why is her government giving exemptions to commercial organisations that allow thousands of people to gather and congregate indoors, including the major shopping centres, but they won't work cooperatively with protest organisers who put forward a plan more than a month ago to the New South Wales government saying we want to carry this out in a socially distanced and safe way?
Yeah. I mean, Paddy, I think you've talked about this the whole time, about ensuring that this is COVID safe, but your problem here is that this is such an important issue, but no one's actually talking about the issue at the moment. People are just thinking that you and other protesters are being selfish.
Well, we're supporting the family of David Dungay Jr., a Dungutty man who was held down screaming, "I can't breathe," in the Long Bay jail until he died. We're saying that charges must be laid on the guards that killed David, and we need urgent action on the issue of mass incarceration of Aboriginal people, the most incarcerated people on the face of the planet. This message has been broadcast to millions of people through the preparation for this protest. This family, I've been rallying with this family for years. We've had 20 people, we've had 40 people, maybe one news camera from the Indigenous television network if we're lucky. Now we've got, millions of people listening to this message and an enormous amount of support. Today we'll be presenting petitions of more than 100,000 people calling for charges to be laid on those guards and calling for the systemic change we need.
That's fine. That's fine. Just go ahead and do that. But you don't need to protest. We have people in the midst of grief, Paddy. Honestly, they're losing their loved ones. They're saying goodbye over FaceTime to their loved ones in hospital, Paddy, and they're saying it's not necessarily us, it's these people saying, hey, just do your bit like we are. Just do your bit like we are right now. And that's saying goodbye to my loved one over FaceTime. Can't you just do your bit?
Karl, while the marketplace is open in this country, in this city, while thousands of people can congregate for commercial purposes, the public square must also be open. There must be the same rights for people to express our democratic views on this critical issue in particular of justice for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as there is for people to bring people together to make profit. I just think it's completely unfair that we're being told that we're somehow responsible for deaths when you're not dragging the proprietor of Westfield onto the show to condemn them for continuing their commercial operations. You're not dragging the head of the rugby league on to condemn them for continuing with community sport. This is a politically motivated thing. As I've said, they're telling us if we're 21 people across the entire Domain, we'll be arrested for public health offences. This has been a deliberate attempt to try and demonise and force off the streets a movement that is raising issues that strike at the heart of the injustice in this country. The Attorney Generals yesterday wouldn't even raise the age of criminal responsibility to 14. Now, I don't think any child should be locked up. I think it's child abuse to lock children in prison. In this country, it's the majority Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander kids that are inside. But yesterday, the Attorney General said children as young as 10 can continue to be brutalised in these centres. That's the state of the public debate we've got around Indigenous affairs in this country. It must change. The grieving families of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who've died in custody, they must have justice. We need to see the change, and it's only going to be safe, socially distanced, collective action through this pandemic that actually actually keeps this on the agenda. Stay home if you're sick. Do not come close to other people. The police will fine you. They've said they will fine you. So we've got a situation where it's going to be quite a dedicated group who come out today. As you can see, the weather isn't particularly friendly to us either. Don't catch public transport. You must wear a mask. There are many things we're going to do to try and set an example, actually, for the thousands of workplaces across this country, which are far more dangerous than what we're going to be trying to do in the Domain today. We all must be COVID safe, but we need to stand together to demand fundamental change and say Black Lives Matter in Australia.
I think it's tone deaf, Paddy. I have to say, I get your protest, I get what you're trying to do, but it's just that the timing's all bad. I appreciate your time today, and look, all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time this morning.